in Reykjavik, Iceland, downtown Reykjavik, Iceland, there is a portrait studio that will dress you like a Viking. And I said to my husband, a man, always a fun reveal. Can we go? Can we go? And he said, we already have an appointment because we are in love. And we went. And they put me in furs, and I had a bow and arrow and a shield and a spear, and I felt fierce, I felt dangerous, I felt sexy, and then I saw the photos. Not gonna lie to you, I look like a tough old bird.
It's confusing being a woman, like just on an anatomical level, you know? Like I'm pretty sure every woman had that moment where you're like 12 or whatever, you're like finally old enough to take a hand mirror down there and you're just like, this can't be right. What even is that? It's literally different every time I look at it.
Has anybody else been in a relationship where they thought they were being cheated on? Okay. Some of you can't say anything because you're like, I'm with him right now. It's all right. I'll help you investigate later. Also, that wasn't enough hands. There's no way I'm the only woman in here who's dated men, all right? There's no way. I'm sorry, fellas. Sometimes guys are like, ooh, women lie too. Yeah, we do. We're better at it, though. Women are better liars, right? Because we start small. We have sweet lies, lies that keep the relationship together, you know? Stuff like, oh my God, it's so big. And, ow. And you're the first one I ever let do that, you know, stuff like that.
And I live in Brooklyn, so there's like moms everywhere. Moms pushing strollers, you know? And if you're a mom and you're pushing a stroller, I am jealous. Because you can do whatever you want. You can talk to yourself out loud in public, nobody cares. They're like, it's fine, she's just talking to the kid. I'm like, that kid is not old enough to understand. Like, that's just a lady running her day, you know? Like, I saw a woman the other day, and she's pushing a stroller, and she's like, well, later on, we're gonna go to the grocery store, and that's gonna be fun, and then maybe later, Daddy will be home. Well, I know he's home, but he's working from home, and we can't disturb him. Maybe I wanna take a Zoom yoga class with my friends. Maybe I wanna hug my parents in person. Maybe it's not a little bit of time for myself, but that's okay, because we're having fun. We're having fun. Right? And then you look down and there's no baby in the stroller. You're like, that is good therapy. That is good.
So I started seeing this therapist, and after the first session, I was like, oh, I'm cured. Because his therapist tells me, I want you to do one fun thing every day. And I was like, fun every day? And he was like, everyday fun. And I was like, really stumped on that because, I mean, it sounds like an easy thing to execute, right? But Smooth Mall was having a real tough time, you know? And also, fun is kind of something you have, you know? It's not really something you plan, right? Like, I used to work in Times Square, and every day I would have to cross Times Square during rush hour, which is pretty much just like a packed elevator, but for blocks, okay? And if I saw a small child coming my way, I would give that small child just a gentle tap on its head, and then I would watch the kid lose its mind to see where it came from. And that was fun. But you can't be like, I'm going to Times Square to touch the children, you know? It's not like a plan you make. So I was like, well, I gotta get this fun. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, what do I like? Easy, ducks. I love ducks. I like the way their green feathers look in the sun. I like the way they treat others. I love ducks, okay? So I decide I'm gonna go to Central Park and feed the ducks. That's my move. And I even Google, what do ducks like? Who are ducks? Things like this, right? And it turns out you're not supposed to feed ducks bread. it's bad for their digestive system, and if they don't eat it, it pollutes the ecosystem for the other duck friends, right? So there's no joke. That's actually just educational. I felt like you guys were waiting for me to be funny, but I don't want you to feed the ducks bread anymore. So, not a problem. Google, no problem, right? I go to the store, I get a bag of grapes, and I even get like a little plastic knife so I can cut the grapes in half, right? Because I don't want my little duckies to struggle, I want them to enjoy eating the grapes as much as I enjoy feeding them. So I get these grapes, and I get to Central Park, and I set up on a rock, and I start cutting my grapes up, okay? And I get a really good pile going, because once you throw one in, it obviously gets competitive, and you don't want anybody to feel bad, right? Not on your first fun day, anyway. So I take the first half of the first grape of the rest of my life, and I throw it into the water, and it immediately just sinks. And I have never felt more alone in my life. I felt like a Russian sleeper cell left over from the Cold War. Like, does the motherland know I exist anymore? You know what I mean? It was like really dark. I was like, because if you're gonna tell me that if you're gonna tell me I need to replace bread with grapes, then you have to say that grapes sink. You have to say that. You knew what I was trying to do. You knew what I was trying to do. So then, so I don't want to give up. So then I'm like, okay, what? So I take another half, and I just start throwing them at their little duck bills. But ducks don't catch. Ducks don't catch. So now I'm just throwing shit at animals. That's not fun. It's not helpful.
One of the appointments I had made was for a bikini wax. And I had been going to salons before COVID to get bikini waxes. I had tried doing some of those at-home kits, and I just learned that there are some parts of my nethers that I do not have the strength of spirit to wax myself. Listen to me, if you can wax your own lips, you're a psychopath. That is some Steve-O jackass level masochism. I want no part of it. So I'd been going to the salons, and then the salons closed for 6 months, and things got scary. There's so many beautiful women here tonight. I feel like a lot of women started 2020 with a landing strip, and by July it was just a full airport. You can land anywhere. There's a Cinnabon and a Panda Express. There's a shuttle that takes you to a rental car lot. I mean, employees, W-9s, it's a lot going on. So finally, the salons opened back up, and I immediately made an appointment. And I remembered there's that rule that the hair has to be at least 1/4 inch long in order for the wax to be able to pick it up. Oh my God. And do we need a medic? Are you okay? Are you... Too much for you? She's like, it's a 7:30 show. I didn't know what this was. I don't like hockey, and we had a Groupon, but she's like, this is not the Christian way. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, so I remembered there's that rule that the hair has to be at least 1/4 inch long in order for the wax to be able to pick it up. And I looked down and was like, well, that's not gonna be a problem. But for the first time in my life, I worried that maybe it's bad if the hair is longer than 1/4 inch. So I called the salon. So embarrassing. I was like, hey, I have an appointment today. It's been a rough quarantine. Is there a maximum hair requirement? And this poor girl just goes, I mean, how long are we talking? And I wasn't prepared to answer that. So I panicked and was like, we could probably donate it. No. Like, I don't know if Locks of Love specifies which type of hair they accept, but maybe somebody needs fake eyelashes. I don't know. We don't know where that hair comes from. We're all just throwing them on and praying, but could be pubes. I don't know.
But I didn't come out to my mom for a really long time because I thought she wasn't going to be cool with it. And finally, when I was 19, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell her. I go, Mom, I'm gay. And she goes, I know. Look at your hair. And that was it. That was the entire conversation. Very easy. So I would highly recommend coming out to my mom. She already knows you're gay, you know?
The birth mother also named my daughter. I didn't know this. We have an open adoption. But on all the paperwork, it just said baby girl and her last name. But when I got there and I walked into the room, there it was. Her name all over the wall. Harmony. She named it Harmony. And you could tell all the nurses were just dying to know what I was going to do. They're like, you going to keep it? You going to keep that name Harmony? I'm like, I would rather keep baby girl. I would rather my daughter's name be baby girl Miller. No offense to any harmonies out there, melodies, crescendos. I love all the musical.
I stayed at a Days Inn in Southwest Arkansas recently, not to flex on you guys. Do not want to brag. That had a loofah in the shower. How do we feel about that? Would you use a Days Inn loofah? No. Okay. So I didn't think that I would either. It was a long day on the road. I was feeling grimy. I used it, okay? I exfoliated. It was 6 or 7 minutes. I washed myself like a woman in a movie who was trying to forget a memory. Do you know what I mean? It was deep. It was severe. The next day I went to check out and the guy was like, how was your stay? I was like, I really like the loofah. I think it's a nice touch. And he, of course, said, what loofah?
I know for a fact that men are the most confident human beings alive because I used to be a bank teller. I was a bank teller for years, okay? And every day, I'm not over-exaggerating this number, every single day, a man would hit on me through the bank teller window, okay? Negative money in his account. That's below zero. You understand what I'm saying? Every day, a man would just do that. And he'd ask me out, he'd be like, hey, I want to take you somewhere. I'm like, sir, I can see you can't take me.
Everyone's so angry. It's so, too much anger. People need to cry more. I cry all the time. It is like taking a shit out of my face. It feels so good. I cry twice a week. I don't know what everyone's CP dubs are. Cries per weeks. Anyone? Can anyone beat 2? Anyone got a number higher than 2? 6? Are you here with friends, hopefully? Do you really cry 6 times a week? Oh my God, that's so cute. That is, and you're a guy too. That is, well, you seem like is your hair blonde? You're a dyed blonde. Okay, yeah, you're sensitive dudes. A lot of guys don't. There's a lot of constipated men just walking around filled with tears, storming the Capitol, just ugh.
At school, my dream at school was, that moment when you're sitting in the classroom, teacher at the front, and the receptionist comes in with a note for one of the students. And we know this note. It's usually that someone's forgotten their school lunch money or forgot their PE kit. But every now and again, This note was something more. And whenever this receptionist came in, I was just like, is it death? Is it for me? Just so excited at the prospect of being told something awful in front of people. Want to hear something ridiculous? All 4 of my grandparents died when I was at school. My parents told me when I got home. No one said a no. What waste!
She's always worrying about that. Don't stop at a rest area at night, somebody will knock you in the head. You better lock your doors tight, somebody break in on you and knock you in the head. I'm surprised we don't hear more about that on the news. Last night, 15 people got knocked in the head.
I don't even like hot people. I think it's boring if someone's too attractive. I really do. That's why I don't like being in LA. It's just 10 out of 10s across the board. Boring. I prefer a 7 out of 10. That's why I love being in Portland. All right. Come on. I know I can say that here because everyone in Portland thinks they're an exception. You just sit there with your drinks and you go, not us, not us.
I'm getting tired of the way companies advertise to women. There's this thing called femertizing, where they put a feminist lean to commercials to sell more stuff. And it works sometimes, but the way they're doing it now keeps getting weirder and farther away from the product, because they want to tug at our like feminist heartstrings. So they're essentially like, you enjoy being girl, right? And you like that girls were able to girl before you, girl? And you want girls to be able to girl after you, girl? Then buy Friskies. What? The cat food? Was this like a pussy joke the whole time?
Now I'm at that age, though, where I have finally have accepted my body, and then my body's like, I think we're gonna go in another direction. I'm like, oh, can we talk about this? I only now just got used to the pooch. And it's like, yeah, but now we're gonna add hair to places, so I can't wait to get used to that. I think if I just let myself go, I could just naturally turn into a man. Which I'm fine with, because I kind of need the money right now. I'm like, yes, I need a raise.
I caught a woman the other day checking out my husband. Now, 42 years old, I don't care. I don't care, I don't. It does not bother me. I'm confident enough, it doesn't bother me. This is what bothered me. I saw him notice. Like, all of a sudden, he got confident and shit. Like, he had a little pep in his step, right? Like, he was one. It took everything in me not to turn to this woman, right? And be like, I'm sorry, do you want him? Do you want him? He blows his nose in his socks.
Always thrilled to be somewhere that isn't a wedding. It's just so nice for me. Particularly as the last wedding that I went to, it was back in Kent where I'm from, so my husband wasn't invited. And I got there and I realised I had slept with 3 of the men there. That's quite a high percentage, isn't it? Yeah. It was a small wedding, mainly family. Oh my God.
The crown jewel of my chaotic post-breakup behavior was without a doubt the day I got broken up with. And that same day I got broken up with, I immediately applied to be on The Bachelorette. Do you guys know The Bachelorette? It's like a long tradition. It's a woman in a long dress. She lives in a house with a bunch of men. I think the first Bachelorette was Snow White. The Bachelorette is an American TV show, institution. It's reality television heaven, okay? I've always wanted to be the Bachelorette. She's amazing, right? She's there in a long dress with 20 men. Every week she votes a man off until there's 3 Republicans or farmers. And then because it's a very heteronormative show, she has all 3 men propose to her, and the one that she chooses, contractually, inevitably, 3 to 6 weeks later, comes out as gay.
Hello to the parents. Okay, now some of you in the room here tonight, your children may be teenagers. Okay, cool. And during lockdown, your teenage son or daughter may have left the room. What was that like? Was that nice? Because during lockdown, my children were 5, which meant they were just here. Just here for 2 fucking years.
So I woke up in a good mood recently, and I had a message on my Facebook comedy page. It was from a man in Slovakia. The message was simple. It said, "Hey, you suck and you look like a potato." Devastating to find out the real reason my Irish boyfriend's attracted to me. Text my boyfriend, upset, and he went, "The most beautiful potato I've ever seen." Went on for 4 months. He messaged me, he messaged my agent, he messaged a few comedians. The message was always the same. Fern Brady looks like a potato. Every time I told my friends, this is the worst thing. Anytime I told my friends, they all had the same answer. The answer was never, "It's okay, you don't look like a potato." They all said the same thing. Every single one of them went, "Well, I love potatoes."
No, because I think Spanish thoughts. They just come out English. I do. Because honestly, I forget that I don't speak Spanish. I'll see a situation happening where there's somebody who doesn't speak English trying to talk to somebody who doesn't speak Spanish, and I'll be like, "Oh, let me go help." What am I gonna do? Help them guess?
A couple days ago when I woke up with a cold, and I was texting my homegirl Sandy. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm sick. I have this album recording. I'm so stressed out." And she goes, "Oh my God, Mercury's in retrograde." I was like, "Bitch, that's a weird way to pronounce. I'm sorry you're going through this."
My baby child is so different than the other 2 because I was so tired. By the time I got around to her, I was beat down. I was tired. And I let her do whatever she wanted to. And I've heard old women say 4, 5, and 6 raise themselves. I bet they do. I bet they do. Because I've let her do whatever she wanted to. I was so on top of my game with those first 2. I was like flashcards. You're gonna make 100 on that spelling test. And I was up in school, I was room mom, and I was taking yogurt and muffins, and I was all up in everything. That 3rd one came along, and I was like, "Can she read?"
Anybody in here seen Bieber on tour? Get on it. It's something to see, dudes. I've seen his last 2 tours at fucking Market Square Arena Bankers Life Gainbridge or whatever it's called. Took my kid sister to the second one, but honestly, it was kind of for me. Watching Bieber is fire, dude. I've never done heroin, but he made me feel kind of like I knew. I know this tour will be a little soft. He's married now, found Jesus all the way. But around the time of fucking Purpose, he exploded out of a screen, like I said, over there at the field house and flew across all of us on angel wings. Dude, all I know is every single person around me was wet. Soccer moms, gays, me. You didn't know if you were crying or secreting. He's incredible.
In the beginning of the pandemic, Chili's put out a sign. Chili's is concerned about your health. Now? Really? Like, you have a salad that has the word explosion in it. And the second part of the sign says, and Chili's is concerned about public safety. That's why we're offering curbside margaritas! Because nothing says health and safety like tequila delivered to the window of your Camry. Feeling good in the neighborhood. Like if Chili's was a sound, it would be, ah!
It's much harder to make a new friend with just big talk. I did it once. It was in the first lockdown, the main one, the surprise one, the OG, the great unraveller. I was trapped with just my young son, 4-year-old at that time, son, during that one. So I was so desperate for the company of an adult who was physically there that in the year 2020, I actually made friends with my neighbour. Yeah, wait for it. In London. Yeah, I don't know if any of you have seen somebody who lives in London try and make friends with someone who happens to live on their road. It's disgusting. It's like watching a snake try and play a piano. But I did it. Needs must, right? I did it, I went for it. I didn't muck about, I went for the woman who lives opposite me, Harmony. Not loads in common, you know, not an obvious choice for a new best friend on paper. I think sort of very much older than me, good 2-3 generations older than me. I don't know that we culturally got loads in common. She, you know, just into different stuff. She loves God. Maybe God. God and flowers and stuff. But we did it, you know, we did it. And we did it without any small talk. And I thought, God, you know, this is perfect. Because we had the pandemic in common, we didn't need any of the old little boring old chit-chat. We got straight into the juicy stuff. You know, births, death, divorce. We shared tears, fears, cakes. I thought, who needs a blooming small talk? This is perfect. I love it. Months in, though, I did realise I hadn't sown the perfect foundational seeds for a friendship. When she said, you've never told me what you do for work. And I was like, oh, I'm a stand-up comedian. And she went, oh, my God. That's so exciting. I'll have to look you up, Francesca. It's too late to ever correct her. I'm just gonna have to let her call me that for the rest of our lives. I am so aware that in this day and age, I am meant to, as a stand-up comedian, if I'm going to talk about someone that's real in the world, I am under a strong ethical obligation to change their name, especially if they've got a distinctive name, like Harmony, especially if you're filming the stand-up. But in this instance, what is the fucking point? She's literally got no way of ever finding me.
I did quit drinking, though, because the universe gave me a sign. And by universe, I mean police. And by sign, I mean DUI. So I got a DUI. And the fucked up thing about getting a DUI, as some of you will find out tonight, is you're wasted, so you think it's a joke. I'm like, ugh, they caught me. Pull over that ass too fast, whoop, whoop. The officer came up to my window and was like, excuse me, ma'am, is your judgment impaired? And I was like, yeah, I'm driving a Honda Element. And he was like, I'm gonna need to see your ID. So I went in my purse and I grabbed my credit card and I was like, shut the tab. And he was like, I'm gonna need you to step out of the car. And I was like, all right, but hypothetically speaking, in this situation, how far would a Blow J Simpson get me? Spoiler alert, jail.